Episode 149 Original Novel, Soul Land DouLuo DaLu. Subscribes, likes, and comments. 182, 4 Elements Academy's Intention. TL Bio WL404. Good fellows, both of them had released their 5th spirit ability, so were they going to settle the outcome? No, Tang San realized their purpose immediately. The reason why Hua Wushuan and his sister spared their spirit power to attack wasn't that they wanted to defeat him but to make time for Feng Xiaotian in the midair. Although back then Feng Xiaoshan's Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops lost to Tang San's disorder-splitting wind hammer, his Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops were still quite strong. And Tang San wasn't confronting only him, so given Feng Xiaotian sufficient time to store his attack power while Tang San was blocked by Hua Wu and Hua Wushuan and couldn't use the disorder-splitting wind hammer, then Feng Xiaotian would have confidence to defeat Tang San. These tactics had been practiced many times, and because Tang San was unexpectedly powerful, they finally used it. What reached Tang San first were the 5 flame meteors. Tang San's body flickered, walking the ghost shadow perplexing steps, with an abrupt exploding of Death God domain, an overpowering killing aura broke through the targeting from Hua Wu by sheer force. At the same time moving through the gaps between the 5 flame meteors, his right hand swung, and a dark green light ball flew to the sky. His 3rd spirit ability, Spider Web Restraint, was released, which pursued Feng Xiaotian who was soaring to the high sky. But at this moment, the 2nd wave of flame meteors had already came in front of Tang San along with Hua Wushuan. The light in Tang San's eyes condensed a little, and his body stepped back rapidly. Meanwhile, with the 5th spirit ring flashing, his right arm overflowed with golden light. The Shrek students who were watching the battle naturally wouldn't forget the deep impression made by Blue Silver Overlord Lance back then, so each of them held their breath and watched attentively. The 3 meters golden long lance appeared on Tang San's right arm. The flame meteors were fast, but actually couldn't catch up with his body. With the help of the Blue Silver Emperor right leg bone, Tang San's speed had even competed with Pure Speed Clan, so the speed he could reach was consequently unbelievable for Hua Wu's trio. Feng Xiaotian in midair had already started his Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops, but seeing the spider restraint flying towards him, his body abruptly circled, sharp wings swinging out, attempting to cut it apart. However, he once again experienced the durability of the evolved Blue Silver Emperor. With the attack power of Feng Xiaoshan's Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops, perhaps it could barely cut normal Blue Silver Emperor. But don't forget, Blue Silver Emperor's tenacity would be enhanced by 100% in the spider web restraint. So this chop of his unexpectedly didn't cut it. On the contrary, the Blue Silver Emperor relied on his force and twisted around him, interrupting his self-created spirit ability instantly. Feng Xiaotian gave an unreconciled roar. In fact, there was poison on the spider web restraint. If he was actually restrained by it, there was no need for him to continue this battle. Helplessly, he couldn't help but stop his Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops. The 5th spirit ring on his body exploding abruptly, a layer of strong cyan light sprang out from his body, transforming into countless extremely sharp wind blades, which were nearly substantial, and then transformed into a dazzling tornado, crushing the spider web restraint surrounding him. Stormwind Demon Wolf's 5th spirit ability, Tornado Blade 1. Hua Wushuan had already gotten impatient because of Tang San's endless retreating. Stopping abruptly, he swung his arms in a circle and pushed fiercely. The transformed fire dragon around his body from his attack defense integrating 5th spirit ability flew out with a roar and pursued Tang San directly, with an amazing explosive force. It not only approached to Tang San's body rapidly, but the Death God domain was even unable to keep it from locking onto Tang San. Hua Wu also promptly coordinated with her brother, controlling the rest of the flame meteors to attack Tang San from the other sides. Now that he couldn't be locked onto, she used her spiritual force to control them, which also made a great difference. The brother and sister pair had immediately put Tang San in a difficult situation. But that golden light was released at the same moment. Tang San's 5th spirit ability, Blue Silver Overlord Lance erupted. The golden light flashed and faded, while the dragon froze in midair. No matter how Hua Wushuan controlled it, it could not move at all, whereas the golden light threw it draw an arc in the sky and ran into Feng Xiaotian, who had just stabilized himself and begun to release his Stormwind Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops again. Although the golden light had been diminished by half by the fire dragon, that extremely sharp aura and unstoppable momentum still brought a suffocating feeling to Feng Xiaotian. His Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops had just gone through one round, thus couldn't withstand such attack as he thought. So he couldn't help but stop for a second time, releasing the fifth spirit ability again, relying on the skillfully control of Tornado Blade to impact wave after wave. Flying backwards swiftly in the air, he finally barely dispelled the remnant threat of the blue-silver Overlord Lance. In the meantime, the fire dragon frozen in front of Tang San transformed into a spatter of fire rain with the explosion of plenty of flame meteors and fiercely explosive sounds. But their original attack target, Tang San, disappeared. Tang San just disappeared before Hua Wushuan, but never lost his trace in Hua Wu's eyes. Because the moment he appeared again, it was exactly the place between Hua Wushuan and Hua Wu, just one step away. Seeing Tang San suddenly grow larger before her eyes, Hua Wu was shocked and released her defying flame ring without hesitation. She didn't have the confidence to collide head-on with Tang San. With the release of defying flame ring, Tang San disappeared again. No matter how fast Hua Wu's third spirit ability was, it couldn't be faster than Tang San's teleporting. This time, when Tang San appeared, he was already behind Hua Wu. Crystalline and thick blue-silver emperor twisted around the body of this woman Spirit King. Sharp thorns pierced through the defensive clothes and penetrated into the skin of Hua Wu, who had just released the defying flame ring, and was lacking spirit power. A fierce sense of numbness suddenly coursed through her body. With her physical strength, how could she get rid of the blue-silver emperors? Hua Wushuan had now already reacted, and Feng Xiaotian in the air was also depressed to an extreme extent, disregarding storing strength and pouncing down, chopping at Tang San with his sharp wings. With just one simple action, Tang San had ended Feng Xiaoshan's self-created spirit ability once again. Blue-silver emperors swinging, he smashed Hua Wu who had been bundled up substantially like a meteor hammer at Feng Xiaotian directly. Never doubt Tang San's accuracy, wielding Hua Wu as a big hidden weapon, his hidden weapon skill wouldn't change a bit. Splendid blue-golden light burst from the ground, and Hua Wushuan who was running into Tang San was stopped suddenly by the swallowing of blue-golden light. Blue-Silver Emperor's fourth mutated spirit ability of Blue-Silver Prison, Blue-Silver Assault Array was released. The next moment, Tang San had already come in front of Hua Wushuan, still using his teleportation. Blue-Silver Emperors and those 6 splendid spirit rings disappeared, as replacement, the clear sky hammer smashed down. Hua Wushuan had lost his presence of mind the moment Hua Wu was caught, infusing all of the armor spirit power into his hands and transformed them into attack power. Although the time of dizziness was very short, the moment he woke up, what he saw was just a clear sky hammer growing larger in his field of view. The Spirit King with one-horned tyrant dragon spirit could just made a stuffy hum and then was smashed directly unconscious by Tang San's hammer. That was because Tang San showed mercy. If this hammer struck people of Spirit Hall, it could be absolutely deadly. Feng Xiaotian felt like he could spit blood. He asked himself, his Demon Wolf's 36 successive chops had evolved to 54 chops in the past 5 years, which had tremendous power. But no matter how powerful an ability it was, it should be available first. Tang San interrupted his charging forcefully again and again, and forced him to use the 5th spirit ability twice, which consumed a large amount of spirit power. Although he caught Hua Wu now, he could only blankly watch Hua Wushuan get smashed unconscious by Tang San's hammer. Purple golden light exploded from Tang San's eyes abruptly. Feng Xiaotian tried to dodge in shock, but the light grazed his body. Flame of light died away from Tang San's eyes slowly, and his stable voice came, "Still want to continue? Or do you want to compete with my disorder-splitting wind hammer?" Feng Xiaotian dropped from the sky, looking at Hua Wu in his arms on whom blue-silver emperors had already disappeared even before Tang San smashed Hua Wushuan down. His heart was overflowing with bitterness. For what had he worked in the past 5 years? Wasn't it for catching up with the one before his eyes? To demonstrate that he was stronger than him and marry her grandly? However, the day after 5 years, the one who lost was still him. The gap wasn't only not narrowed by his hard work, but had on the contrary grown larger. Although Hua Wu's face was filled with reluctance, she knew Tang San had already showed mercy just now. She didn't know what the purple golden light grazed Feng Xiaotian was, but that overwhelming fluctuation of spiritual force was sensed by her clearly. Whether on her or on Feng Xiaotian, it wouldn't be comfortable. Especially for herself, the dizziness of her body hadn't recovered till now. Ma Hongjun laughed loudly, and shouted, "Long live Shrek! Shrek always wins!" His voice woke those intoxicated students who were watching the battle, and suddenly, a hail of "Long live Shrek! Shrek always wins!" burst out abruptly and spread to every corner of the campus. Tang San had already been in a state where he could not be moved by honor or disgrace, grabbing up Huo Wushuan on the ground, clapping hand on his shoulder, using mysterious heaven skill to activate the movement of his blood and qi within his body, Huo Wushuan finally woke up. Looking at Tang San, his face couldn't help going red. Even though he was unreconciled, he knew that they lost the battle and knew how thoroughly they lost. That was 3-1. Seeing Huo Wushuan stand stably, Tang San walked over to Feng Xiaotian and Huo Wu whose faces were full of depression, a branch of blue-silver emperor lowering forward and touching Huo Wu's arm to retrieve anesthesia toxin infused into her body. Huo Wu's physical resistance was originally very high, so with Tang San's help the numbness disappeared immediately. Those originally arrogant students of Four Elements Academies now bowed their heads. Feng Xiaotian sighed, "It seems that I wouldn't surpass you in my lifetime." Tang San turned his head to look at Xiao Wu who was frightened by the sudden shouting, sighing slightly, "If Xiao Wu could recover to normal, what about my losing all of the spirit power? Surely the strength of Spirit Master is important, but to me, she is more important." Seeing the desolate emotion and sorrow flitting across the bottom of his eyes, Feng Xiaoshan's heart was touched, and subconsciously looked at Huo Wu next to him. Yes, he had already had the most precious thing, why be depressed for losing? Huo Wu couldn't help asking, "What's the matter with Xiao Wu? She looks a little abnormal." Tang San didn't answer her question. "Brother Feng, how about finding a place to talk?" Feng Xiaotian nodded, said, "The same intention." "Huo Wu, you bring Wushuan and the others back, I will talk to Tang San." Huo Wu said somewhat stubbornly, "No, I will listen too. Let big brother bring them back." Feng Xiaotian could never do anything against Huo Wu, looking at Tang San helplessly, while Tang San said calmly, "Then come together." Huo Wushuan took the students from Four Elements Academies with their tails to leave. Several teachers of Shrek of course wouldn't let pass the chance of educating students. Of course, this wasn't something that Tang San had to pay attention to. The Shrek 5 devils took Feng Xiaotian and Huo Wu to the cabin where they lived, and Tang San held Xiao Wu's hand again, and her previous anxiety disappeared entirely at his touch. Huo Wu looked at Xiao Wu now and then, but in her eyes, Xiao Wu had no response to this. Seemed to never see her. Huo Wu's curiosity had always been strong and she wanted to ask, but was stopped by Feng Xiaotian with a look. Back at the cabin, finding the biggest room, they took seats respectively. They had no hatred originally. Tang San had also just defeated them, so Oscar, Ma Hongjun and Ning Rongrong naturally wouldn't have too much hostility to them any longer. Feng Xiaotian said to Tang San on sitting, "Tang San, believe it or not, us starting a fight with your academy's students was not our provocation on purpose. Maybe your Shrek Academy's title as #1 academy in the world is too resounding, so your students are a bit arrogant." Oscar aside said, "That still wouldn't have developed into what it did. If I'm not wrong, you were deliberately provoking with students of Four Elements Academies to bait us out." Feng Xiaotian looked at Oscar surprised, and thought inwardly, it seemed that the brilliance of Shrek 7 devils had been overshadowed by Tang San, but Oscar seemed not ordinary as well. Not only the aura on his body, but also his meticulous mind. So Feng Xiaotian put his cards on the table, "Yes, I had this idea. We haven't seen you for years, so I wanted to see how your strength improved first. Secondly, I also wanted to be introduced to your academy. Since Dean Flender wasn't here, you guys have the right to speak." Ning Rongrong said, "Wanted to be introduced to grab our campus." Feng Xiaotian smiled embarrassed, "Of course not. To be frank, we actually want your academy's campus. But not the meaning of grabbing. We just hope to discuss with your academy whether we could have a piece of place. We are willing to pay. Buying some ready mimicry cultivating areas in passing. You know, since the academies have moved, many things need to start afresh. And Shrek Academy is already steady in the Heaven Do City, as the saying goes, great trees are good for shade, if you are willing to help a little, we will be more easily settled." Ma Hongjun said unhappily, "So why don't you go to Heaven Do Imperial Academy? Their place is not small either, and their facilities aren't fewer than us. Don't you know Spirit Masters of Heaven Do Imperial Household are receiving training here sometimes? Although our place are large, if you 4 academies move in together, there would be no place to live." Huo Wu curled her lips, said, "Heaven Do Imperial Academy? Do you look up to them? We're afraid that our students' ethos will be affected by those fops. It is because we think highly of your Shrek Academy that we wanted to cooperate with you." Tang San, who hadn't said a word since he entered the cabin, opened his mouth finally, when Xiao Wu was nestling on his shoulder and holding his big hand, whose quiet and beautiful appearance even made Huo Wu feel jealous inwardly. Brother Feng, you still didn't tell the truth. If I'm not wrong, the Four Elements Academy's condition isn't good in fact. If you don't tell us the specific problem you face honestly, I think we couldn't help you either. Feng Xiaoshan's face turned slightly. How smart Tang San was, just one sentence, but it hit where it hurt. Forcing a smile helplessly, Tang San, dealing with you is really a pain. You really want us to take off our last piece of cloth? Tang San smiled slightly, I just want to know the practical condition and then talk to Dean Flender. If not necessary, I don't think you Four Elements Academies would merge together, let alone move into Heaven Do City. Feng Xiaotian nodded, well. There is no need to hide anymore. Yes, you are right. Four Elements Academy's condition isn't very good right now. In Heaven Do Empire, we Four Elements Academies are always the top in Senior Spirit Master World, even though your Shrek Academy stepped in unexpectedly, you couldn't affect our status in our own cities. But the sudden action of Spirit Hall changed the situation thoroughly. The first one to be hit was Thunderclap Academy. The doom of Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan directly resulted in their loss of background. A number of students even died in that battle. Though some of them survived, as long as they were not Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan's people, they would leave Thunderclap Academy immediately and made a clean break with it. Therefore, the whole Thunderclap Academy is nearly deserted. The rest aren't more than 1/5 of its original number, not more than 100. Saying that, a kind of sympathetic expression appeared on his face. It might seem like Spirit Hall had restrained itself since its proposal of re-election of the 7 clans. But actually, their destroying of 2 large clans with great momentum shocked the whole Spirit Master world. Every clan is desperately absorbing its surrounding clans, so are we. And we also received a formal invitation from the Spirit Hall. Huo Wu became obviously agitated. Bullshit invitation, those sanctimonious bastards of Spirit Hall. How could they require us Four Elements Academies to serve as their subordinate academy? It's obviously annexing us. Feng Xiaotian said with a chill face, they had gone beyond our limit, so of course we wouldn't accept. However, just on the next day we refused them, the same situation as Thunderclap Academy happened. A large number of students and teachers claimed to leave our academy. Though less than Thunderclap Academy, still more than 2/3 of our faculty and students left. Then the Heaven Do Imperial household invited us, we couldn't help but move into Heaven Do City and reintegrate into one academy, which is called Four Elements Academy. Now the rest of the students are mostly without any background, or involved in any clans not opposite to the Spirit Hall. It is Spirit Hall that pushed us to the Heaven Do Empire. Tang San reflected on it, said, so how many students and teachers are in your 4 academies? Feng Xiaotian gave a forced smile, about 600 in all. So there is no need for you to worry that we will occupy too much place here. We just want to find a place to survive and contribute to the war against Spirit Hall. 4 Elements Academies have been built up for many years, so we have some savings. As long as your Shrek Academy agrees, reconstructing teaching buildings, dormitories, or even expanding the campus will be invested money and time by us. Additionally, since we live together, we can not only exchange pointers, but also help each other. 7 Treasures Glazed Tile Clan also suffered a great deal from it. Seeing the doleful look of Feng Xiaotian, Ning Rongrong nodded unconsciously, helping each other is nice, Spirit Hall is our common enemy after all. Oscar pulled Ning Rongrong clothes slightly, suggesting she not to talk too much. After all, 4 Elements Academies moving into Shrek Academy's campus involved a lot of things. Though Shrek 7 Devils were not management of the academy, Ning Rongrong was the inheritor of 7 Treasures Glazed Tile. Her words carried great weight. Feng Xiaotian said, then we'll trouble you. Tang San smiled calmly, said, Brother Feng, if what you said were true, combining together for us isn't bad. But, you are a guest after all, and it seems that you don't want to abandon your dominant status as far as your display is concerned. Therefore I'm afraid there will be conflict between us. After all, you have a large number of students. To be honest, your strength is above Shrek Academy. It all sounds good right now, but who can say in the future? I think, you should understand my meaning. Feng Xiaotian pretended not to understand, said, we will restrain our students to never have any conflict with your students. Moreover, it has been recognized by the Heaven Do Imperial household. Just need moving into now. Tang San smiled slightly, since it is so, I think there is nothing to talk between us. Go back please. Shrek Academy is private property, even the Heaven Do Imperial household cannot deprive it for no reason. Moreover, I think Uncle Ning has His Majesty's ear, so I don't think His Majesty would let you move into Shrek Academy directly. But if you really think so, then I have nothing to say. You can have a try. Everything is pleasant to hear now, but what if you turn from a guest into a host in the future, will there be a real fight? Let alone, Shrek Academy is originally private property, even we are in the same stance, but how could it be possible to move into without any pay? Tang San absolutely had the right to talk in Shrek Academy. Daimyo Bai wasn't here now, so he was obviously the leader of Shrek Seven Devils. Even if Daimyo Bai was here, his words still carried the most weight in the Shrek Seven Devils. Especially when he was Grandmaster's direct disciple, Lu Erlong was the wife of Grandmaster, and Ma Hongjun was the direct disciple of Flender. Ning Rongrong could absolutely affect Seven Treasures Glazed Tile Clan's attitude, so while the Shrek Five Devils didn't seem to have any post in the academy, but actually their influence could make a difference in Shrek Academy and even in Heaven Do Imperial household's attitude. You, Huo Wu rose up with a fierce slapping on the table, pointing at Tang San, about to erupt, but was stopped by Feng Xiaotian, who stood up hurriedly. Huo Wu, calm, keep calm. Aren't we discussing? Feng Xiaotian seemed to be accustomed to persuading Huo Wu. Seeing his obsequious smile, Tang San couldn't help feeling funny. Although Huo Wu's personality was straightforward, she could be completely controlled by a smart guy like Feng Xiaotian. Maybe, this was so-called everything is weak to something. Saying this, Feng Xiaotian looked at Tang San with a regretful expression, said, so, our differences are so great. We'd better wait for your dean's return. I think we can find a win-win solution eventually. I hope we can sit under the same roof next time. Tang San stood up with Xiao Wu's hand and made a gesture of farewell. While Feng Xiaotian led Huo Wu, whose eyes was filled with fire, leaving after saying farewell to everyone. Ning Rongrong wrinkled her pretty brow, said, Third brother, it doesn't seem good to refuse them like this. Four Elements Academies look so pitiful indeed, and we also have the same enemy. Tang San smiled slightly, said, Rongrong, don't you think they came here too coincidentally? Oscar rubbed Ning Rongrong's head, saying pamperingly, silly girl. That Four Elements Academies chose this time, wasn't it bullying when we don't have enough people? I believe they had already asked around in advance and discovered that the dean wasn't here, and not us either. That was a deliberate show of force. They wanted to overwhelm us with real strength, they also wanted to show Heaven Do Imperial household that they are more important than our Shrek Academy, so they could occupy our place more easily. But it was blocked by Little San. They couldn't defeat us, so they started to use tactics of sympathy. His words were probably not false, but as the saying goes, a mere verbal statement is no guarantee, it's easier to invite the devil than to drive it away. Once they move into our academy, it wouldn't be easy to drive them away. Ning Rongrong gawked at Oscar, said, so there are so many reasons here? Little Ao, I didn't realize, you are the same as third brother, full of cunning. Oscar raised his hand and touched the scar on his face, forcing a smile, if I couldn't think a bit when meeting things, I'm afraid I couldn't come back to see you. Ning Rongrong's complexion softened immediately, held Oscar's hand in her own, though saying nothing, her sweet and helpless look made Tang San and Ma Hongjun can't help laughing. Oscar as well, but his laugh was more complacent. Ma Hongjun asked, so what shall we do? Wait for the teachers to come back before making a decision. Tang San smiled calmly, said, of course they won't give up. Now that they came once, there will certainly be a second time. Maybe Four Elements Academies will be our ally in the future, but as far as this situation is concerned, we must get the dominant status. No need to worry about these sort of things. After Dean Flender comes back, he. Ma Hongjun, Oscar and Ning Rong surely knew what Tang San was thinking about. With Flender's stingy personality, even if Four Element could finally move in, they would be stripped of a layer of skin. When it came to cunning, blackness and putting money above all, who could be equal to their Grand Dean, Four-Eyed Owl Flender? Ning Rongrong looked at Xiao Wu, whose eyes were blank. Third brother, what's the matter with Xiao Wu? Tang San put his arm around Xiao Wu's supple waist, and narrated the experience in the trip simply. He had nothing to hide from his friends, so he also gave his simple analysis of Xiao Wu's present condition. Having heard Tang San's analysis, Ning Rongrong said, so that is to say, if we want Xiao Wu to truly resurrect, third brother must pay your own spirit? And it should be a rank 90 spirit. This is... Tang San smiled slightly, compared with Xiao Wu, what does this matter? If not for her, I'm already dead. My life, my soul, all of mine are hers. Tang San's words were very natural, without fervent passion, as if something that couldn't be more normal. But the more he was like this, the more depressed Ning Rongrong, Ma Heng-jun and Oscar felt inwardly. Ning Rongrong's eyes reddened slightly, seeing Tang San and Xiao Wu, wanting to say something, but seemed to feel a lump in her throat, and couldn't say anything. She had also been parted with Oscar for 5 years, but compared to Tang San and Xiao Wu, they were much happier. At least they met again after a long separation and could be with each other truly. But for Tang San and Xiao Wu, how much suffering they should endure. Only they Shrek 7 Devils truly knew how many sad stories were behind Tang San's strong talent and strength. Parents, lover, all made him suffer too much, too much. Tang San smiled slightly, said, don't be like that, Xiao Wu's body has recovered, so everyone should be happy for us. Little Ao, during the days we left, wasn't there any change in Heaven Do City? Oscar restrained his emotion and grasped Ning Rongrong's hand tightly, said, Heaven Do City looks tranquil on the surface, but according to Uncle Ning's words, the situation in Imperial household is very strained. Emperor Shuye is suffering a serious disease, which made all of the Imperial physicians feel helpless. Perhaps, everything will change before long. A slight smile showed on Tang San's face, of course he knew this situation. Moreover, Emperor Shuye's illness had been non-lethal for a long time, with poison DouLuo, that mixed poison should be almost cured. The reason why news spread out was to eliminate destabilizing factors in the Imperial Palace thoroughly. And Tang San had talked with Ning Fengzi about that. Last time when Tang San was talking to Ning Fengzi, he had suggested that before Heaven Do Imperial household stabilized itself, he wouldn't cooperate with Imperial household on his own. Because he wouldn't know whether he was helping the enemy or himself. The big premise of cooperating with Imperial household was that no problem existed in Imperial household. Ning Rongrong said, my father has sent the second support of our Tang sect to me. You really didn't go in vain this time, so there are more than 1,000 spirit masters more in our Tang sect at once. It seems that it would surpass our 7 treasures glazed tile clans soon. Tang San shook his head, said, no, Tang sect won't absorb people casually. The 4 pure attribute clans are our base now. Unless it's an absolutely incredible spirit master, we will never let them in. Moreover, all the things should be dealt with a low profile. Apart from people of our Tang sect and Uncle Ning, nobody knows Tang sect is ours. No matter what we do outside, we need a secret harbor. I have discussed with Senior Tai Tan on the way back. We should hang the board of Strength Clan temporarily as Tang sect's board. Oscar agreed, caution is a ship that sails for 10,000 years. Little San, when should we move in? Tang San smiled slightly, said, 4 Elements Academies appeared, so we should at least wait for the teacher's return before leaving. Shrek Academy is our family, so we can't let people drop in to bully us. Ning Rongrong laughed, said, that is easy, when I invite Grandfather Gu soon, see who dare make trouble for us. Third brother, you just went out for a long time, but Oscar and me are bored to death. So let's just move in quickly. Besides, the construction of Tang sect will require money. Tang San couldn't help laughing, you are so impatient, our little god of wealth. The protocol between him and Ning Fengzi was very clear, the finances of the Tang sect should be in charge of by Ning Rongrong. After all, 7 treasures glazed tile clan wouldn't give money for nothing, but if controlled by Ning Rongrong, Ning Fengzi would be naturally not be worried. 1 Tornado Blade. This episode finish at here. Comments with us and have a good day.